So a historical week lays ahead for us with Forest as we are back in Europe and we are taking on Real Betis. Welcome to the preview. Hi guys, hope you're doing well and welcome to the preview for Real Betis versus Forest. Coming up, I'm going to talk you through a bit about Betis, give you some background information on them. We'll talk about Forest, we'll talk about the squad, will Zinchenko be in or not? And I'll give you my predicted lineup, but get in the comments what you think the score is going to be. If you're enjoying the content, as always, hit that like button. Make sure you're subscribed as well if you are new, and get in the Discord and let's start talking because so many Forest fans in there. It's completely free. Scan this QR code or click on the link that's pinned in the comments and get talking all things Forest 24/7. All right, let's jump into this. Forest versus Real Betis. I am looking forward to this, but this is not going to be an easy game because Real Betis at home, one, their stadium is huge. I think the capacity is about 70,000. The atmosphere there is really strong and they do have some good players. They set up under Pellegrini, the ex-West Ham, ex-Man City manager, and they play in a 4-2-3-1. And I think for me, their biggest danger man is Isco, the ex-Real Madrid player. But luckily for us, I believe he's out injured until November. He would play in the 10 and he would be the guy pulling the strings for them there. But instead of him, they're using a Spurs player. Lo Celso. He's the one that's kind of deputizing in that 10 position, and actually, even though he was pretty crap at Spurs, has been doing well for Real Betis. Some other players you may recognize: Anthony, the Manchester United ballerina, the fidget spinner who spins on the spot, was welcomed there as if Maradona had come to Betis. So obviously he was there on loan last season, helped them get to the final of the Conference League where they lost to Chelsea. I think it was 4-1 or 5-1, something like that, quite comfortably. But there are a few Premier League players that you will recognise. Bellerin, the ex-Arsenal right back, he plays right back for them. He's getting on a bit. I think he's about 30 years old. You've got Amrabat. He played at Man U. He's was in the World Cup a couple of years ago. He actually was really good in the World Cup, but shock horror, flopped against Man U. And then you got Fornals, who played for West Ham. I'm not sure if that was under Pellegrini or not. I can't quite remember. But he's playing now in midfield for them. And you got Firpo, who's ex-Leeds. He's playing left back at them. So there's quite a lot of ex-Premier League players in there that a lot of you may recognise. And some other good players as well. Hernandez up front has been bagging for them. He's come across, I think it was from the MLS. And in general now, they've started okay in La Liga. They're sitting 6th. They won their last game 3-1. Very aggressive, high-tempo team, especially at home. Now, for me, their strengths and weaknesses are home versus away. I think they're a much better home team than they are an away team. And I think they're good at getting the ball, passing, having high spells of possessions. But where they are weak for me is a bit similar to what we've seen in Forest in the last couple of games. They create a lot of chances, but don't always have a high conversion rate on those chances. They do miss some sitters. I was watching their game at the weekend and they missed an absolute sitter open goal settings. So hopefully they don't bring their shooting boots on Wednesday. So don't expect an easy game is what I'm trying to tell you here. Don't do an ant and think, oh, Farmers League, Farmers League. They're a good outfit with good European heritage in terms of they're players that have played in Europe a lot. They had a deep run in, as I mentioned last year, in the Conference League. They will be one of the favourites to go on deep into this competition. And this is why I think it's important when it comes to Forest that the team selection has experience in there. We're going to need players that have played European football before. So we're going to definitely need Douglas Luiz. Zinchenko, we'll come on to him in just a second. Chris Wood apparently has played in the Europa League as well, and players like Callum Mwendu. These will be important players that are used to the European stage, the European game and everything like that. They're important. If they're not starting, they have to be in the squad. I'm so excited for this and so nervous at the same time. Now, in terms of Forest, let's get into Forest. In fact, let's get across to the team sheet. It'll be easier to talk through all of that. So if we have a look at Forest's team, now this is the European squad. Einar is probably going to be kicked out of the European. I say kicked out like it's a bad thing, but obviously with his injury, there is enough to tell me that Einar will be replaced. That's probably the better word, for Zinchenko while he's injured. Forest, I think, can do one change, and they've got until midnight the day before, the 24-hour period. This will be confirmed in the presser with Ange Postecoglou probably tomorrow. So keep an eye out for that. But I am going to go on the assumption that Einar, speedy recovery to you, my guy. I hope you get there and nice and quick. I think you will be out of the squad, mate. So let's make that assumption to start with. Now, players like Zach, Abbott, you're going to see loads of the kids named in the B-list squad. Now, I did a video explaining the A-list and the B-list squad. I'm not going to do the whole explanation here, but basically, layman's version, if you're a kid through the academy and you've been there for 3 years or more, you can go on the B-list squad. That B-list squad can be announced the night before. So that B-list squad will always kind of change as we go along, okay? But let's focus more on the A-list squad, which is this that you can see on your screens. So looking at this, how are Forest going to line up? Well, we believe that Murillo will be back. So I think that's the simplest, easiest, quickest change we can do is bring Murillo in there. And then working on the assumption that it will be Zinchenko and not Einar in the squad, Zinchenko will come in. He's got Champions League experience. I think he's played like 44 games in European football. So he's one that I fully expect to come on board. And I think that will be our back four with Sells in goal as well. When it comes to the midfield, I would not go with this setup. This obviously was the team that started against Burnley at the weekend. I think you need some European heads. And who am I talking about? Of course, Sangare in this one. I would take out Gibbs-White in this one and I would bring Sangare. And I'd use Sangare as that kind of number 6 there and push Anderson and Douglas Luiz slightly higher up. This just, to me, is a more European structure that you would do in the team. So basically what I'm saying here is play with a 6 and 2 8s. Now, Gibbs-White needs to be on the bench. He can come on and have an impact depending on how the game goes. But I would set this up in a 4-3-3 or technically a 4-1-2-2-1, if that makes sense, right? So that's how I'd look to do. That would be my midfield 3. Now, Anderson, I think, can adapt to European football very comfortably. Douglas Luiz, we know, has played European football. He's played in the conference with Villa. He's also played a couple of games, I think, with Juve as well. So he has European experience. Sangare, in Holland, he was fine. He was having European experience left, right, and centre. And I actually think the pace of European football, you will find probably suits Sangare a lot better. However, Betis, for me, are more on the Premier League side than they are on the European football side. So that would be my midfield 3. Now, what would I do up front? That is a very good question, and one I'm not sure about. Remember, Hutchinson is not part of the Europa League squad. Thank you for that, Nuno. So we're going to have to see some of the other wingers coming in. I think Bakwa, although didn't do enough for me against Burnley, again, playing in kind of European football, not so much the competitions, but in the French league last season, etc., will have a better feel for it. And I think the right striker for this game is actually going to be Callum Mwendo. Again, Europa League experience when it comes to him. That's why I would pick him to go there. And then I probably would stick with Ndoye or Callum Hudson-Odoi. Remember, he has won the Champions League with Chelsea. So for me, the only one I'm not sure about there would be Ndoye, whether or not I go Callum Hudson-Odoi or not. I don't think Ndoye did too much in the Burnley game, so I'd be tempted probably to put Hudson-Odoi. But in general, I kind of like that. Do I see Postecoglou going for a 4-3-3? No, he'll probably stick with the 10. You'll probably see Sangare for Gibbs-White. That would be the change, and he puts him in the 8. And then I'm not quite sure. Maybe he goes with Wood. I don't think Wood's the right call. He could go with Igor Jesus. I'm not against that one. But I just want this first game to be kind of focused on those with the experience. So that's the team I would go with. Now, how does this game play out? This is, for me, Forest's hardest game of the 8 European games that we've got. It's away from home. It's the first game back in, about 30 years into European football. And I don't think a win is like it's a must win or anything like that. If Forest go away to Betis and get a draw, that's a fantastic result. Then we can go and win our home games, get ourselves qualified. You need about 12 to 13 points to get through to at least the knockout state, to the knockout phase, in terms of the league positions. But if you want the automatic qualifying, you need about 16 points or so. 14 to 16 points probably gets you through. So it gets quite congested if you look at it historically. How do I see this one going? Does Ange go Angeball? Or does Ange go Angeball in Europa, as he did with Spurs in the latter stages of the competition? I don't know. I have no idea. But I just think, and I've got a feeling, that Forest are going to win this. I just maybe I'm just excited by it. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. Betis are a good team, but they're not beating the best at the moment in the Spanish league. They've drawn with some teams you'd expect them to beat. But that crowd is going to be intimidating. Can the players deal with a big stadium, big noise, and a European night? I'm going to go 2-1 Forest. I hope I'm right. Get your predictions in the comments. Don't forget, if you haven't already, please do like the video. Make sure you're subscribed. Let me know how excited you are about this one. And go jump yourselves in the Discord. I'll be in there chatting away with the guys, so come join us. We'll see you on the next video. Come on, you Reds.